Hello and welcome. I am Dr. Lara, a clinical pharmacist specializing in functional medicine, as well as a certified yoga teacher and Reiki master. I run a truly integrative health coaching practice, encompassing functional medicine lab testing, yoga and meditation, and a sprinkling of Reiki energy medicine. Join me here on Light Body Radio to break through your health plateau and come into alignment with your natural vitality. Hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Lara and I'm your host of Light Body Radio. And this week we have a special treat. We are joined by Stephanie May, a licensed medical massage therapist. Hi, Stephanie.
Hello. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting. This is my first podcast.
Cool. Yay, welcome. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, given the current state of not just our country, but the world right now, I thought talking about immunity would be stellar because I think a lot of people have a certain concept of immunity, and we're running out of certain supplies in that way of thinking, and so I think it's just always a good idea to remind people of other ways that they can stay safe and stay healthy and naturally.
Fabulous. I totally agree. But before we get to that, tell me about you. How are you different from, I guess, a typical massage therapist that you might go see at, like, say, Massage Envy or a spa?
Well, quite a few ways. So I'm also, in addition to my massage credentials, I'm also a certified personal trainer and a therapy exercise specialist, which actually led to my massage specialty in the medical field. By working, most of my experience has been in physical therapy and chiropractic offices, working in rehabilitation, so natural pain relief. The National Certification Board has a special distinction for board certification versus regular certification. So I'm actually a board certified massage therapist.
Okay. So you have a very specific way that you look at the human body, correct?
Yes, I pull from a lot of different schools of thought, between health and different fields of health and wellness. I also have a bachelor's in kinesiology, and I am studying to get my doctorate in acupuncture.
That's exciting. Yeah. So that's really cool. So you implement these different things when you're working with a patient or a client, I would assume as well, correct?
Yes, every single one of my services. If you're a first-time patient of mine, we always do a very thorough consult. I have a very thorough intake form, which most people aren't used to just to go get a massage. And that's because I'm looking at a lot of other things. A lot of my patients that come to me are actively in pain or actively having an issue in their life, whether, maybe they're having issues with sleep, or maybe they've developed an autoimmune disorder, and they're having issues with that, and they need help relaxing and calming down their nervous system to reduce flare-ups. So with that said, there's a lot of things I like to look at and I like to screen for. And
so also within that context, so then let's talk about immunity. So when someone, I think autoimmune dysfunction is a perfect sort of context to maybe put this in. So because immunity is such a big, broad topic, so let's bring it down and put it into some context that our audience can maybe relate to, or even if you don't really relate to the autoimmune, you could at least, it's more specific so we can get into the nitty gritty. So let's say you have a patient coming in, autoimmune history, whether it's, thyroiditis or rheumatoid arthritis or any autoimmune dysfunction. So how does immunity factor into that for them from your perspective?
Well, I think one of the things you need to know or understand with that is that when you have an autoimmune, something in your body, a natural process in your body isn't working correctly, and in a way, your body is kind of attacking itself. Granted, that can be seen in psoriasis or, like you said, thyroid issues or arthritis. There's even diabetes. All of these things are different autoimmunities, and they work in different ways. But with that said, my primary goal is to reduce flare-ups, and that means reducing inflammation. So inflammation doesn't just, yes, it's typically thought of, when you think of inflammation, you typically think of it like with an injury, like, oh, I fell and hurt my knee and it's big and red and swollen. But that's not the only way your body can be inflamed.
Right. That's what
Sometimes there's inflammation going on systemically that you don't see until your skin starts turning red and flaking, or maybe you start gaining weight, and that's when you end up finding out it's a thyroid thing instead. So I think my primary goal when I see some of these autoimmunes is just to calm everything down. Obviously, with massage, yes, we want to relax you, but that's not always our first goal. If someone's in pain and it's due to a biomechanical issue, then I'm going to look at your alignment and release some tissues so you can stand better and therefore function better and reduce your pain that way. But in this situation, yes, my number one goal would be to reduce that inflammation and calm down all the systems and get them working together.
because when we are inflamed, whether it be acute or chronic, that puts us at greater risk, right, for acquiring an infection or being more susceptible to infection. Our body, if it's already being sort of having this onslaught of inflammation, then it is not as strong at fighting off
Absolutely. Your
infection.
body is always trying to maintain homeostasis, and that's, very simply put, that's how your immune system works. When something goes wrong, your body sends in all its troops to fix it, whether it's attacking a virus or healing a torn tissue. Your body rushes to that spot to heal it and fix it. So when you have one thing going on, it does lower your other defenses for that reason. So when you're already immunocompromised, that's why it makes you more susceptible to develop other things. And that's what we're seeing right now, is that it's not just our seniors that are the most vulnerable to getting this virus, but it's also the immunocompromised. So yes, that does mean children, that does mean millennials, that means anyone with, and people don't think, oh, I have arthritis and that could make me more susceptible to get a virus, but it absolutely could.
Yes, I had that thought when my husband and I were in Italy for 2 weeks. It was going to be three, but it got cut short. But that was my thought too, because Italy is unusual because they're one of the blue zones of the world, right? And if a blue zone is a place where you have a large population of people that live to be over 100. And so Italy is one, Japan is one, and that's one of the reasons that Italy has been so hard hit by COVID-19 is because, and you've seen that with that population.
Absolutely.
And one of my first thought when this whole thing started unfolding was it'll be interesting because it will get to the US and now it's here. But I thought, well, I wonder how you'll see it manifest differently because we don't have that healthy of a population of younger people and middle-aged people, and then above that the geriatric population. So I was curious to see how it's going to affect all of our people that have diabetes, all of our people that have asthma and lung disorders,
Mm-hmm.
all of these things that really affect our the different, like you just pointed out, the different age groups that so far we haven't in other parts of the world where maybe the health is not so compromised until you get to a later stage in life.
Right.
So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
And that is kind of why the seniors are so extremely susceptible, because at their age, they do have these other things going on. They do have arthritis. They do have, maybe a geriatric version of diabetes, that they typically haven't had before. So because of their age alone, they most likely have comorbid conditions and are more susceptible.
Right. So, you can also have cancer, or you've had cancer in the past, and going through that treatment has left you with a weakened immune system, or,
Absolutely.
there's so many different things. And so with that being said, then how do we support ourselves? What is your approach to supporting that immune system, to giving us the best chance we can, without living at the doctor's office?
Oh, living at the doctor's office. That's something I'm so very familiar with. Yes. It's not fun to do that. I feel like I spent a lot of my childhood in a doctor's office, and which is how I kind of came to where I am and took the career path that I took. Um, as someone myself that um, I do consider myself to be immunocompromised, even though I also consider myself to be a relatively healthy person. I have to try to do that. I've had viral meningitis twice. I've had appendicitis, and I have had some struggles with blood sugar in my past. So, with all that said, if I can do it, then everyone can do it.
Mhm.
And I do have to be careful, but knock on wood, I don't have this thing yet. And actually, for the first time in my life, I have not been sick, and I think it's almost 2 years. I think in June it'll have been 2 years since I've actually been like more than just like, oh, I'm not feeling well today, I think I'm gonna go to bed. I may have like a little bit of a slight fever. And one of the ways that I've managed to do that, is with one of the topics I want to talk about today. There's so many ways you can boost your immune system naturally without relying on all these chemicals and bleach and all these other things that can do actually harm to our body as well. But focusing on the one I want to talk about today is Epsom salts. And Epsom salt soaks. They are amazing for our body.
Okay, so what is Epsom? What is an Epsom salt? How is that
Uh,
different from our table salt?
so it's not an actual salt. Um, it's magnesium sulfate. And there's more than there's so many benefits, but I just want to focus on a few. So, obviously, most people have heard of these for muscle relief, taking an Epsom salt bath. It helps relieve your pain and your stiffness. But one of the other things that it can do is it can increase absorption of vitamin D. Um, and without going into a big chemistry lesson, vitamin D
That's
is
okay. I
good.
do that all the time on the show.
Well,
My listeners are used to it.
I am going to say that vitamin D helps boost immunity, and it also actually helps. Um, it it indirectly can affect your serotonin levels, and therefore help with mood disorders, and which also your mental health is directly correlated to your physical health. Um, so I will say that if you would like to go into a more detailed explanation of how
Sure.
vitamin D affects,
Yeah.
I will throw the ball over to you.
Sure. So technically speaking, in the chemistry world, magnesium sulfate is technically a form of salt. It's not table salt is sodium chloride, so Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate. So
Right,
that,
that's what I
yeah,
meant. It's not
yeah,
table salt.
yeah. It's not table salt at all, actually. So yeah,
Do not eat it. We're not eating bath salts
yeah,
today.
yeah. Don't do that. But yeah, so magnesium has, oh wow, so many functions in the body, right? You touched on that a little, and a lot of people don't realize that if you are deficient in magnesium, then that also can exacerbate in which means make worse, maybe a vitamin D deficiency. So, yes, in order, you have to have magnesium present in order for all of your vitamin D processes to work appropriately, too. So, those two are really important to go hand in hand. And magnesium is a smooth muscle relaxer. So, that's why when you put it in the bath, you feel relaxed because it's absorbed through your skin, which is your largest organ, and it helps actually relax those muscles through the whole muscle contraction and relaxation process. All right, so that's as much geeky science as I will give for now. Let's see what else we get into. Keep going, keep going.
Okay, let's see. So what did I list? I listed two, or actually I listed three. We talked about the vitamin directly absorbing vitamin D, but then we also talked about an indirect effect of vitamin D on your mood. We did the soreness, so that's three. So another one, number four, is it helps flush out toxins in your body. And again, I will let you get super geeky on this, but I will just say most toxins are stored in your fat cells. So when we're flushing these things out, we're kind of pulling them out of there, and therefore, when we do flush out our body, um, typically that also goes hand in hand with hydrating. It can aid in weight loss. So there's two more. If you wanna go
Yeah.
geeky on that.
Well, I agree with all of that you just said, and I have another good one that I think a lot of people don't think about. Is that magnesium is actually can be useful in preventing kidney stones and gallstones. And I don't think a lot of people know that. And I know a huge amount of people suffer with kidney stones and ureteral
Yes.
stones, and they are extremely painful. So, making sure that you have a regular intake of magnesium is really important.
Yes. So actually, that kidney and gallstones was not going to be, but one of the things I was going to mention. So next one, it reduces hardening of the arteries, which is, a similar process to stones when these calcifications occur in our body.
Yes,
So I don't know
I
if
can
you
get
want
geeky
to, yeah, go get geeky, girl, get it.
with that. So, yeah, so a lot of us, it's been drilled into our brain to take calcium. You don't want to be calcium deficient. It's so important for bone loss, blah, blah, blah. But we but we've noticed the scientists, people that are in the healthcare field as well, have noticed that there's this correlation with increase of calcium supplement taking and sometimes increased risk of cardiovascular events and the hardening and calcium deposits actually showing up in the arteries and the veins. Like, oh, that's weird. What's going on? So we found that if someone is magnesium deficient, then that can again not it can cause your body not to absorb the calcium as efficiently, and so then it just builds up on the plaques that are already there maybe, and so it just adds to a problem. So having enough magnesium really helps your body digest and absorb calcium appropriately, digest and absorb vitamin D appropriately, and all of this works together to keep your veins and arteries happy and smooth and relaxed instead of hard and angry and all gnarled and contracted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So going on, with all these other things, that it's relaxing and allowing to, keep moving, the that also includes nerve function. So when you relax your muscles, and you stay hydrated and you keep things flowing, your nerves can actually function more optimally. when your muscles aren't clenching those nerves. I think a good example to go with is sciatica. A lot of times in that situation when people are having that pain, the sciatic nerve is literally pinched by your not just your biomechanics, but also some really gripped muscles. So when you get in there and you release the hip, it releases that pinching. And so kind of think of it that way. When these Epsom salts are, relaxing these muscles, they're also improving nerve function. So anything you want to add to that?
Well, do you have an opinion about the efficacy or between taking it orally versus the bath?
That is something, yeah, that I I typically prefer soaks. Now, that doesn't have to mean a full bathtub. In fact, a lot of people don't have a bathtub, and the minute you mention Epsom salts, they immediately are just like, nope, don't have a bathtub, sorry. But the good news is you really only need to do like a 20-minute foot soak. Now, granted, are you going to have more results, on a larger scale if you do a full bath? Absolutely, because that's just, mathematics. But doing a 20-minute foot soak, even if you can't do it every day, just doing a 20-minute foot soak weekly is going to have all of these benefits just on a smaller scale. So you just need like a bucket or like one of those little foot spa things if you really want to go for it. But anytime you absorb things, your skin is an organ. So anytime you absorb something through the skin, especially instead of a lotion, when you would be sitting in water, I think your body's going to respond to it better than going through the digestive process, because so many things can happen in the digestive process, especially. I mean, we could have a whole nother podcast on supplements and supplementing and what happens in the digestive process.
Sure, let's
Um,
do it.
and so I really think if you're wanting to take them orally, just with supplements, I think liquid forms, gel caps, or tinctures are always best. But that's why I prefer soaking. I typically don't recommend you know um orally taking magnesium orally, just for that reason, because I think your body's going to absorb the amount it wants to absorb, and it's going to absorb it more optimally than it does if it goes through the digestive tract.
It does, yes. I agree with you. And it's really interesting. I'm sure anyone out there that's ever had any sort of bowel procedure, whether it was an upper scope or a lower scope, into your bowels, has had to do the prep, which includes drinking a lot of, not tasty liquid. Most of the time, if you've ever read the label, it has magnesium in it. And so magnesium has the wonderful ability to make you poop a lot once you reach the upper threshold. So your body can, the whole point is your body can only absorb so much through the mouth and through the gut. But your skin, on the other hand, like you said, is an organ. It's actually your largest organ. And so, yes, sitting in a bath, warm water opens the pores and allows your body to absorb magnesium so much more efficiently and effectively than taking it orally. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I'm just going to add to that is I think most of us know the pruny fingers that we all get when we're in a bath. And that's kind of the visual I had in my head when I think, yes, when you have a scope of that sort and you need to clean out, you're consuming massive doses of that. You're consuming more than your body would typically want. And the fabulous thing about your fingers getting pruny when you're in a bath is that's your body basically saying, okay, I've had enough, I don't need any more, like my cells are oversaturated, like I'm good. And so it's a nice little gauge of how much your body wants and needs, and
Mm-hmm.
without having to give it too much like that.
Mm-hmm.
But in all, and I love that you brought that in. Yes, it is. It is, a diuretic of some sorts. It will clean you out. That is not one of the benefits of it that I listed in my top 10. I actually listed 10 benefits of Epsom salts without having to talk about that one, because I think that is the number one thing that actually scares people away.
We're
I
not
think
afraid to talk about poop on this show.
no, I love talking about poop. It's great. But I think a lot of people aren't. I think when people think Epsom salts, they think, oh, that's a laxative, right? And yes, absolutely, it can be used for that, but it doesn't have to be. If you do a 20-minute foot soak, if you do, I think the other night I zoned out to my meditation music and I was in the bathtub for a good 35 minutes. And by no means was I on the toilet, excessively after that. It takes an excessive amount of Epsom salts of magnesium to clean you out like that. So don't be afraid of that.
Yeah, I
If
would
you take a
actually.
bath, if you do a regular foot soak, like, you're not going to be on the toilet for an hour after that.
Yeah, no, only if you take it orally, and if you're taking magnesium orally, if you're taking a larger dose, or if
Correct.
you're drinking the liquid, like you see those mag citrate bottles in the pharmacy section. Those are
Correct.
specifically intended to clean you out or keep you regular or help with constipation.
Yes.
But if you're taking a bath, you're not going to lose your bowels, so don't be afraid of that. But
Yes.
also
Don't be
too,
afraid.
but absorbing that magnesium can help your body stay regular, which is
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
if you
And
suffer from chronic constipation, it might be something to think about because you could be magnesium deficient, which could be contributing to some constipation. So
absolutely. I think there's a common misconception and a lot of us that don't like to go to the doctor about every tiny little thing. Anytime we tend to get irregular, we think, oh, maybe we're low in fiber, and we automatically just go get a fiber supplement, and we don't tend to think about these other things. Again, something as simple as, oh, just take a 20-minute bath, and by no means will that make you lose your bowels, but it'll just help you regulate a little.
mhm.
So I think that's a really good point. Um, do
What
you
else?
do you want to move on to number 10?
Yeah.
Number 10 is it, and I'll let you go geeky on this one. It assists with over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body. Over 300. Like, think about all the possibilities there.
Yeah. So all I'm really going to say about that is that it just means that it's an essential nutrient that we all need, but most of us don't get enough through our diet. And so doing these baths will actually help you supplement your diet without having to take a pill or take another
Exactly.
supplement because God knows we probably all have enough on in
Exactly.
our cabinet already. So yeah, just and it's so nice, it's so relaxing, it can be so therapeutic. So yeah, it can really benefit you in a myriad of ways.
I don't know about you, but a lot of my job as well, especially kind of the health and wellness coaching side of it, is helping people, instead of just telling them solutions, but actually giving them practical ways to work it into their daily life. Because I think a lot of us all suffer from that. There aren't enough hours in a day. Now, right now that we're all at home all day long for weeks on end, yeah, there's plenty of hours in the day, but
Some would say too many.
yeah, right. I'm getting so many things done, but I think it's very important to leave people with a way to work this into their daily schedule. No matter what we talk about, like, okay, how do I practically incorporate this into my daily life? Um, and and again, if you whether you're in the bathtub or actually just like soaking your feet in a bucket, remember, all you need is 20 minutes. And there's so many things you can do. I choose, if I'm going to take a bath that day, I don't typically do my morning meditation. I'll meditate when I'm in the bath instead. But, maybe you're not into meditation. Maybe you're a musician, so you could take that time to write a poem or a song, or maybe you're a maybe you're a working mom, and so you have a full-time job, and your kids on top of that. So you especially don't have enough hours in the day. You can make your to-do list. You can make phone calls while you're soaking your feet. You can check emails. So, there's so many things you can do with 20 minutes while your feet are in a bucket. And so I just want to throw in there the concept of multitasking. And if you're not into the whole like relaxing for 20 minutes thing, then do something else with that time and kill two birds with one stone.
Okay, that's good. I like that. However, I'm going to sort of say that I think all of us could use a good excuse to be still, even with all this time. So, yes, multitasking is great, but I would like to encourage my audience to take advantage and use the stillness of the day.
Absolutely. Like I said, that's what I choose to do with it. But I totally agree. But for those that may find that challenging,
Yes,
baby steps are important as well. So
absolutely.
one thing at a time. Start with this, and then as you get into doing this regularly, then maybe try to use it as your downtime too, and adding that in as well.
Great, Stephanie. Thank you so much. That was so helpful and so insightful. I know I love baths, and it's um, a big part of my self care routine. And so, where can our listeners connect with you online? How can they get in touch with you?
I actually have an online booking page. If you just want to Google high low health and healing, that's low is the French word for water, so it's L apostrophe EAU. My online booking page will come up, and you can just contact. You don't have to book anything. You can just contact me through there. But that will also show you a list of all my services. And even though I'm located in Pacifica, California, I offer a lot of online and teleservices. So it doesn't don't think, oh no, she's wherever, because we can still connect.
Awesome. And I will put this in the show notes too. So, all you guys and ladies out there, not to worry. You'll be able to find it in the show notes. I don't know. Do you have any other resources that you would suggest, or maybe something um, I think we have given our listeners today definitely something to practice, which is actually like preparing the bath and taking the bath. Anything else you'd like to add, or maybe something fun or creative relative?
I think I think I think creatively, like if you have some favorite aromas or essential oils, absolutely put a few drops of those in there. If you want to, again, make the most of your time and kill a few birds with one stone. Adding in like some menthols will be good for the respiratory system. Typically, lavender is a little bit more relaxing. There's a lot of different things you can use if you want to throw in some essential oils to that.
Yeah, I actually just had a little light bulb go off as we were talking about this. Especially in the context of immunity and all of us trying to stay healthy and safe right now. Don't be afraid to use things like ginger powder. Ginger powder can help you get a good sweat on and be even more detoxing. Even turmeric. Turmeric, you can use turmeric powder. It might turn your tub orange, so be aware of that. It washes also, don't worry.
I
What?
was actually, can I interrupt you? I
Yeah,
actually just did specifically a ginger and turmeric bath, uh, my last one,
yeah, I love it.
and it has been a little difficult to get the orange out. And I don't know if you're a homeowner or if you rent, but maybe that may be one thing you may want to consider to still take orally if you're afraid of staining a bathtub that you don't own.
Yes,
I may or may not have done that.
yes, yes. Or if anyone out there knows how to get the orange color of turmeric out of a bathtub, please,
Yes.
please feel free to put that in the show notes.
Yes, please.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for being here today. Is there anything else that you want the audience to know, or any more information about where to find you or your practice, or anything else before we
Um,
head off for the day?
well, I'm not sure. I have just opened up a new wellness center here in Pacifica that I'm really excited about. And when I say new, I mean brand spanking new. We just opened our doors in January, and we were just about to do our grand opening in March, when all this coronavirus stuff started going down. So we actually had to delay it, which, everything comes in due time when it's supposed to. But if you are in the Bay Area, when we have survived all of this and are all back in our offices and back to our daily lives, stay tuned for the announcement of our grand opening and come by and check us out.
Great. And I'm sure you and I will have more discussions in the future about all sorts of fun stuff, especially as you progress in your acupuncture program, too. I'm super excited to have some more conversations with you about all sorts of fun stuff. So thank you again for being here today. And as always, you can find this show on Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean, iTunes, Anchor.fm, Castbox. Pretty much anywhere there's a podcast out there, you can find Light Body Radio. So,
Wow, thanks for having me. I had no idea that I was going to be on so many platforms, so that's exciting.
yeah, yeah. So, again, you guys feel free to give me your feedback. Let us know what you want to hear more of, or if you have any follow up questions, we'd be happy to answer those. And we will catch you on the next episode. Namaste.